We are recording all of our sessions to post on our website afterwards, along with I will have a PDF of Melanie's presentation. Thanks to the BLM again for their initial ideas and ongoing support of our land manager forum. Please keep yourselves on mute until such time as we're taking questions, and you can also use the chat to insert your questions as well. And so I first became acquainted with Melanie Luce via Eric Samia, one of our trail crew leaders this summer who worked with Mel in the White Mountains. Melanie joined the White Mountain Trail Collective in January of 2017 as a volunteer providing marketing, communications, and admin leadership. In 2019, she became the organization's first paid executive director, and under her leadership, the collective's funding has increased from $175,000 in her first year to $580,000 in 2020. She's expanded staffing to include a development director, marketing director, program manager, and assistant program manager. And it's those sorts of goals and talking to Eric about feedback from this summer that I was like, wow, I would really like to learn from and emulate what they've got going on out there. Melanie serves on the board of Granite Outdoor Alliance and works with both the Forest Service and State of New Hampshire to help promote sustainable outdoor recreation. She is currently working to become a certified fundraising executive, a distinction held by less than 6,000 nonprofit executives. She lives with her husband, Kevin, in New Hampton, New Hampshire, and their two large furry dogs. She is a lover of nature and animals, enjoys skiing, hiking, biking, cross-country skiing, and being outside. And we're very delighted to have her here today to tell us about the White Mountain Trail Collective. So please take it away. Thanks very much.
Oh, thank you for that introduction, Steve. Hello, everyone. And thanks for welcoming me and having me as your lunchtime speaker. I hope you all have something delicious and yummy and warm to eat because I hear it's a little bit chilly there. I apologize if you do hear dogs bark. I have tried to train them to be polite when I'm speaking, but they don't always listen to me. Go figure. So like Steve said, I'm Melanie. I'm the executive director of the White Mountain Trail Collective. We are a collective impact nonprofit organization that supports trail maintainers in the White Mountain National Forest and surrounding region. And I'm going to get a little bit more deeper into what collective impact means and all those words. So yeah, I'm going to get right into my slides. Hopefully you can all see them. Steve, you can see these are coming through, okay?
Yep, looks great.
Okay. So why us? Why the White Mountain Trail Collective? Why form another trail maintenance organization? How is this going to work? There was already at the time 29 trail maintenance organizations in the White Mountain Forest and surrounding regions. So you can imagine when we decided we were going to do this, what those organizations thought of us. Not the best at the time, but that's changed, thank goodness. But basically, we were not formed to necessarily do trail maintenance. We were formed to support those who already are doing trail maintenance and basically add capacity to what they're already doing so they can do it more effectively and more efficiently. So when we first started the Trail Collective, we got all of those partners in rooms for many painstakingly meetings just to get people talking. And what happened was they all started to see that they all have these common problems, and we were able to identify those. Those problems are we're facing this huge backlog of maintenance. So that number's from 2019. I'm sure after COVID in 2020, the use we had here, that number's grown. No one has it yet. Siloed volunteers and organizations. So all of these partners were in rooms and it was like they're meeting each other for the first time. They really weren't interacting or talking to each other, which can cause problems when everyone's trying to do trail maintenance and consistency. Tasks beyond trail maintenance was a lot of the feedback we got, administrative tasks, we don't have anyone to write grants, or we're all volunteers. We can't do all of this paperwork. How do we train volunteers? How do we even think about organizing a training program? So all of that stuff started to come out in these meetings. Everyone could easily identify that the cost of trail maintenance was increasing and our resources were decreasing. And I don't know, I apologize. I tried to do a little bit of research about Alaska and what's going on there. But for us, with a substantial amount of backlog backlog maintenance. We're in that position because stewardship has so drastically declined, and we have not been able to keep up with annual level 1 maintenance. Our trails do not get annual level 1 maintenance every year, which needs to change. We're working on changing that. So when you don't do annual level 1 maintenance, your level 2, level 3, overuse, weather incidents, all of those things start to pile up. And for us, they've piled up. $35 million worth have piled up. Stewardship is aging out. Political correctness, it's older white men that are doing our trail maintenance. I don't know any other way to say it. Someone has a better way to say it, please email me. Say it this way. But that's the truth of it. Facts on the ground. Stewardship is aging out. So the volunteers and trail adopters that were doing that annual level 1 maintenance, we just don't have them anymore. Training for most folks is difficult to access. It costs. You're a volunteer. You're going to volunteer your time, and then another organization tells you, well, it's $400 to come do this weekend training with us. That doesn't make sense, right? That just doesn't make sense. We want you out here doing training. Training should be easy to access and free to volunteers. And then we have the lack of consistency in training and skill development. When everyone is siloed the way we were here, everyone starts to develop their own techniques, their own ideas and ways of doing things, and we're not getting consistent, sustainable trail maintenance across the board. So this is just kind of a picture of, what our trails look like here in White Mountain National Forest. Fabulous, right? That's amazing. Who wants to go hike that with me? This kind of just goes over our clubs. Everyone kind of had this lone wolf mentality. We're getting level 1 maintenance done. Other things that I should mention that, was holding up the works is for projects. I'm sure you guys go through it. We have the NEPA process. If it's on forest land, there's something very similar with our state park land. That can be a kink in progress. Things get held up there because the Forest Service doesn't always have enough resources or capacity to push that through. So one of the things we did in the last year was we actually hired our own NEPA staff that works with the Forest Service. So we're helping to push NEPA through a little bit more. And we got that specifically funded for environmental research and resources. We do data sharing. So we've developed apps that I'm sure everyone on call has a smartphone. We developed an app on Collector through Esri, and we give all of our partners user information, and that database talks to the Forest Service. So even the state and Forest Service now for us are working together and collectively collecting trail maintenance data in one system, which is crazy, right? Not to have it all siloed in all these different systems. So we give them access to Trail Collector, and they can go out and survey their trails. And what we mean by that is they can go out and answer a list of questions and say, yes, I did all this level 1 maintenance. I tackled these water bars, but while I was doing the maintenance, I also noticed this flow down needs to get addressed. This staircase is crumbling. This scree wall fell over. So we're able to actually see in real time kind of what work needs to get done, and then put that all up on a map. All those data points get mapped out, and then we're able to plan projects better and get things through NEPA a lot quicker. We provide training and education for free to any partner. If they need it, we do it for free, even volunteers. So we've opened that up. Volunteers, we have one staff person, Olivia, she's our volunteer coordinator or director of trail stewardship. She does level 1 training all the time, and she's certified through the forest to do it. So they send people to her, we get people, and that's what she's out there doing. And she's developed, which I'll share with Steve if anyone's interested. On our website, we're developing a level 1 training manual, tool book, and videos to go along with it. If people want access to it, it'd be lovely to share. So this kind of just shows this common agenda. So when we were getting all partners in the room and we were talking about what our problems were and what needs to happen, these are kind of the big things that, where everyone's box, where everyone's like, yes, these are our issues. Everything from clubs and volunteers and organizations are overburdened, including the state and Forest Service. 90% of stewardship aging out, that's just a drastic decline for us. With less stewardship, that leads to a lack of transfer of knowledge. So if the person who's been doing trail maintenance for the last 50 years kind of retires and ages out and isn't there to teach someone young and energetic, we lose that transfer of tacit knowledge. That knowledge kind of goes with that person. Funding obviously decreasing, so not enough money to hire professional crews. tools, offer trainings, those types of things. And I think here, I don't know how it is in Alaska, but here, the problem is still relatively unknown to the public. Like, I can't tell you how many times I have a conversation where the public thinks trail maintenance is picking up trash and really doesn't understand what trail maintenance is. So definitely just a group like ourselves to help do education and advocacy to the public. And when we were forming, we have kind of two constituent groups, for lack of a better word. We have our trail maintainers, which are who we serve, and then we have the public, which we are working to educate and get them more involved, especially in stewardship and trainings and things like that. So how we work, this slide's kind of lengthy. I'm glad you're all getting it because I don't want to read it verbatim, but the strategy and what collective impact is. I think, for me, it's really pretty much common sense. And I think what's super important for us is our mission is to protect the trails, preserve the legacy. So protect the trails, we do. New Hampshire's lucky enough, the White Mountains, we have the oldest continuously maintained hiking trail in the country, Crawford Path. It's 200 years old. So we have that history. We have these really old, rocky, extreme trails. And then we have that same amount of time legacy-wise of people who have been maintaining trails. So there's a lot of history there. There's a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of great stories. So for us, it's not really about us, the Trail Collective. It's about protecting and preserving historically what has happened here in the White Mountains, because it's an important history. So all of the partners have to come together and have some sort of similar vision. I kind of equate it to, if we were an organization that was working with feeding the hungry, we're not necessarily the ones feeding the hungry. We are helping those organizations that are feeding the hungry do their job better. So kind of think of it on that way. So not all of our partners have the exact same mission we do, but they have a common thread. So AMC, for example, Appalachian Mountain Club, yes, does trail maintenance, but they also do hospitality and adventure and experiences and things like that. So they're not 100% trail maintenance, but we have a common thread in preservation of the trails in the White Mountain National Forest. We have to be able, partners have to agree, right? So everyone has to agree that we're going to do things consistently. We're going to data collect consistently. We're going to measure expectations and monitor things the same way. And basically what that does is set up this kind of cross-learning initiative. So everyone is going through this process at the same time together, and we're all learning from each other's experience. So this is the long one. So this is kind of gets to the nitty-gritty of what we are. We are basically, for collective impact to work, there has to be a backbone organization, or traditionally, old school days, I had an old professor of mine just recently I talked to. He's like, that's an umbrella organization. I was like, okay, sure. So we're a backbone organization, which means this is fine. Like, we are supporting our partners in what they're doing. If our partners are not succeeding, we are not succeeding. It's that simple. So what also I think is intimidating about us and can cause some issues, but also is really great about us, is that sometimes people see us as like, well, who are these guys? You guys are 4 years old. You're coming out of nowhere. You're telling everybody what to do. Like, who the heck do you think you are? And yeah, sometimes they're right. Absolutely. But what we do is kind of act as a mediator and say, like, listen, we have all of you in the room. You all have these same problems, but you're all bickering and you can't figure out how to solve it together. Let us help you solve it. And the great news is, if we fail, we're the one holding the bucket of failure, not you. It's on us. Everyone loves that. Everyone is like, yeah, sure, sign me up. If that's going to be on you, sign me up. And that has really given us just a lot of credibility as we move forward. Activities and initiatives. Yes. So everything we talk about is mutually reinforcing. So which means, again, it's not about the Trail Collective. It's about our partners. Again, if they're not succeeding, if they're not doing well, if they're not maintaining trails effectively, we are not doing our job. End of story. And then a successful collective impact depends on, obviously, resources to keep it going. We are the ones that carry the burden of providing those resources. If we can take off the burden of funding, of training, of tools, of data access and data collection, if we can take up that burden for our partners, they can just go out and do what they do best, which is maintain trails. So everyone always says this, like, oh yeah, so it's collaboration. And not really. It's not really exactly a collaboration. We are feeding off of collaboration. So collaboration often implies, it's a two-way street, you know, like you have your ideas, I have my ideas, and together we're going to make one idea. It's not really an effective way to get things done. I don't know if anyone's been in a meeting room and everyone's talking about a problem that you have and you leave the meeting and you're like, what just happened? Like, did we solve anything? What are the next steps? What's happening now? And no one knows where to go. So that's the difference with us, is that we get everyone in the room and we say, no one's leaving until we have a solution. Not literally, but that's how it works. We try to come up with the solutions. Well, Eric knows me. I don't know anyone, and else on the call knows me. But I am a get things done person. I do not like leaving problems outstanding or hearing about the same problem over and over again. Like I tell my staff all the time, that's great. If there's a problem, awesome. Come to me with an idea of how we're going to solve it. And maybe that idea will work, maybe it won't, but at least we'll have some place to start and go. And it won't be a stagnant problem that we're all just continuing to talk about. That's not effective. All right, here's some pictures, more pictures of our lovely trails. The one on the left obviously has some issues. That is from some weather disruption. That's actually 10 years ago from Hurricane Irene. Our trails got hit really hard. I mean, you can't even put it into words sometimes. And then, you know, where things have become. I have one Forest Service partner who likes to tease me and say, like, all you guys are doing is building rock staircases to heaven. Kind of, because that's what we have to work with, right? You work with the resources that you have on the land. We're not going to build buff, flowy, wonderful trails because our topography doesn't dictate that. And it's really important as we're making sustainable trails. There's no point in building a trail if it's not going to be sustainable, right? Why would you throw dollars and people's effort and things at it if just year after year after year you keep fixing the same problem over and over again? And sometimes what that means for us is that we're working with our partners to close down some trails. It's just like, look, this just is not, we've thrown X amount of dollars into this. There is no way this is going to stay this way. Our trails are so tight and compact in our area that a lot of times we can kind of say, okay, we're going to close this trail, but here's this trail and we'll reroute so it still gets people to where they want to go. So we look at like creative solutions that way for sure. Another big part of us is sharing is cool. My husband laughs at me every time I talk about this slide. Sharing is cool, sharing resources and knowledge. But it is cool. If you're not talking to your partners about what you're doing successfully and what has and hasn't worked, you're not gonna get anywhere. Why would one of your partners want to repeat the same mistakes that you've made? Get in a room together, talk and share about what's working, what your strengths are, and what's not working and what you need help boosting. It helps with transfer of tacit knowledge. In our area, it's realigning trail stewardship. We're making trail stewardship cool again. It's not a bunch of 70-year-old guys out there anymore. We have younger folks coming in who are super interested in this, who love the idea of this work. We're also working to make this a sustainable year-round career for people. The whole seasonality of it doesn't really work. We lose good people like Eric to Alaska because he's not here in New Hampshire anymore. That's what happens. So, that idea of people who want a professional career doing this work, we are looking at ways of how we're able to do that. And all of my staff is year-round, fully salaried, benefited, all of that stuff. That was hugely important to me because not only do we have to have sustainable trails, I have to have sustainable staff and help in this. We're sharing each other's strengths, improving on each other's weaknesses, building each other up. Sometimes just a little positivity can get a volunteer back up and running, which is great. And I think no one organization can do it alone. And that's what's huge. When we had all of these meetings and people were talking about their common problems, what was really nice is they didn't feel alone. Like, oh, you have a problem retaining volunteers too? So do we. So what are you doing and what are we doing that's not working? And then you have a great volunteer retention rate. What are you doing that is working? So everyone got to talk and share those things. And we continually do that. All of our partners get in a room for our annual gathering every year. And then we meet quarterly. I call them my steering committee. They help decide what we do and how we help each other. All right, here it is. Here are our big secrets revealed. You're all going to learn how to make millions and millions and millions of dollars. I wish. If someone on here knows how to, please speak up. So funders like more bang for their buck. So true. And funders like to see that their money is making an impact. None of our projects are solo partnered. We have it 3, 4, sometimes 12, 15. Crawford Path, we had 28 partners in that project. Funders like to see that they're making more of an impact. And what does that mean? So Crawford Path cost us $300,000 to rebuild in 2 years. And that money went to the trail, got the work done on the trail, but also went to our partner organizations. So we hire our partner crews to come work on our projects. We hire the local crosscut trainer to come train everyone on our projects. So we're feeding back into the system that is trail maintenance, and we're keeping our partners sustainable. So when funders see that, when they say like, oh, so I'm going to give WMTC money, but 50,000 is going to go to AMC, 50,000 is going to go to RMC, 50,000 is going to go to whatever other partner, they like that. Like, so I'm getting more done with my dollars. We're pulling partners out of their silos. We are making them talk, which can be awkward. I call it awkward speed dating sometimes. We do it at our gatherings. They hate it. I make them do it, and then they love me. It's just how it works. But basically get them talking about trail maintenance. They love to talk about it. Get them talking to each other about it. And it's amazing. All of a sudden what happens is, Craig from Cardigan Highlanders now wants to go hang out with Bob from RMC and see how RMC is doing things, learn those skills, and then take that knowledge back to Cardigan Highlanders. It's huge. Again, so that's you're allowing for your transfer of tacit knowledge. Bingo. Strength and stewardship through consistency. So the more consistent volunteers you have and the more consistent their training is, the more likely they are to come back. If you have a bunch of organizations training people how to do maintenance differently, it starts kind of like, we didn't do it that way over there. And this is weird. They're doing it differently. But if everyone can agree, this is how you clear a water bar, then this is how you clear a water bar. And now volunteer A can go volunteer for all of our partners and consistently know how to do the work that everyone's doing. Our meetings, when we bring everyone together and we're constantly talking to partners, kind of allow for that 40,000 foot view of the problem. Everyone starts to see it in a more, in a more focused scope than their own siloed scope. Like they start to see like, oh, there actually is potential for real change here. I mean, obviously working together, you make a larger impact. All right, how am I doing on time? Okay, I'm trying, okay. I'm gonna rush through. All right, so I don't know if anyone saw our impact report, but to date, we have funded $1,347,000 worth of trail projects. You can kind of see what that equates to. I'll let Steve give you all that information of what we've done. These are kind of just the basics because I want to leave some time for questions. My final thoughts, this slide could change every day, I swear, doing this. It's not easy. I'm not gonna tell you it's easy, it's not. It's a lot of hand holding. It's a lot of talking to people. It's hard to get people to work together sometimes. I think it just can be really scary. Egos can get in the way, especially when you're asking people to change or think about a different way to do things. But I think, if you can kind of let them know you're not alone and we're here to help you. We're here to make sure that you don't fail at this. That takes a little bit of the scariness away. So we can't change the world by ourselves. Collective impact is just one way of working together, just one way. It's working for us. It does include a community-led approach. So again, our constituents are trail maintainers. That's one community, and our sub-community is the public. So we make sure that we're hearing both of those voices. And it's a tool, not a straitjacket. I have adapted this over time to make this work for us. Some things for collective impact for us just didn't work, where other pieces of it did. So I'll just use this as a picture from Crawford Path. We are the official adopter of Crawford Path. We use it as our training playground. It's amazing. Eric, I know you're on the call. Eric worked with us on Crawford Path. It's a great project. Just some of our partner crews working on Crawford Path. We got to fly a lot of rock. Everyone thought that was pretty darn cool. Yeah. That's it. I am open to questions if you have them, and I talk really fast, so I know. Just Ask questions, shoot.
Well, we really appreciate it. And Eric Samia, one of our trail crew leaders from this past summer. That's how I got connected to Melanie. So I'm grateful for that. Could you give us just a quick geographical scope? How big is the White Mountains area, and what number of trails? Anything that would kind of narrow it down for us?
Yeah. So the White Mountain National Forest is just over 1,200 miles of trails. And then we have the White Mountain National Forest. That's broken down into 3 ranger districts, the Pemigewasset being the largest, the Andro being the one that's the harder to access, and the Saco, which is the most popular district. So 1,200 plus miles of trails. And then we have so the forest isn't one consecutive piece of land. It is an area, but then there's potholes of the area that aren't forest. So to include those folks, because a lot of that land is state park land or public trust land. And we will do projects with those folks as well. So, if I were to add it all up, I'd probably say we're probably closer to that 2,000 miles of trails that we're working with partners on.
Right. And in just 3 years, you've raised more than $1.5 million. Would you, for ease of stating what a collective impact nonprofit is, do you kind of look at yourself like the United Way of trails for that specific area? Or how could people wrap their minds around it if this is the first time they've heard of collective impact organization?
Yeah. Probably, to simplify it a little bit, it's, rather than a bunch of organizations in their own silos applying for project dollars to accomplish the same thing, we take all of that information and apply for one large funding base. And then we're able to break it out and say, this much money is going to go to this portion of the project, which will, sustain this, talking about it in those terms. Again, it really comes through even, whether it's individual donors or, it's like National Forest Foundation or it's a corporate sponsor. They like the BOGO. They like to know that their dollars are going to go this extra mile, because we're pulling all of these people together collectively to work on this. And not only are we going to rebuild, I'll talk about Crawford Path, not only are we going to rebuild Crawford Path, but we're going to have these 16 different partners working together. They're going to make money to go back to their organizations so that they can keep hiring trail crew. We're going to train them. They're going to be able to transfer tacit knowledge between each other. We're going to be more sustainable in our approach because of that. So, and. So that's, I think that's a huge part of it. When you can do, why take your dollar to feed one kid when you could feed a whole village?
Yep. Well, and we're just about to the end of time. So let's let everybody know that you have an awesome website. You can Google White Mountain Trail Collective. There's a video that Eric Samia is in right on the homepage. And I think the final story I want you to tell real briefly, like all this sounds great. And when Melanie and I first talked, she said it was hard to get people to buy into it. And what I heard from, my simplified version was she was going up to people and saying, hey, we got 80,000 for you to work on this trail project. And they were like, nah, I'm not sure. That sounds kind of scary. We don't want to let go of control. And
yeah, that's what it is about the end of the day, is letting go of control. But that's what they think it's about, but it's not. Partners can be, sometimes we have partners that are like, listen, we just have this huge project. We need you to project manage it because we have 20 other things that we have to do. So if you could just take this one thing off our plate, that would be amazing. Sometimes it's that, and they're not really all that involved. And sometimes we have partners where they're volunteering every day. We are co-project managing and we see them every day. And, they're helping us lead trainings. It really depends on what works best for our partner. We really let them dictate to us how we can help them best. And I try not to use the word help so much because that scares people. People don't like to ask for help. So I basically say, listen, if you were going to make a wish list of things that you would like your organization to be or do someday, what would that wish list look like? And that usually gets conversations going and starts to break down barriers a little bit.
Awesome. Well, thank you for getting the conversation going in Alaska for us. This is to be continued. We hope to talk about it some more at a minimum at our Trails Conference in April, but try to keep the conversation going to see how this model might be able to be used in Alaska. But we really appreciate you sharing it today. Thank you for your time and your wonderful presentation, and have a good rest of your day. It's 11 degrees now, the weather report up here in Anchorage.
I'm 46, so I'm gonna go outside and tan while you guys do your thing.
Sounds great. Thanks again, Melanie. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.